So welcome to our first session on Natya for Joy and Connection. The Natya for Joy and Connection is based on theater arts for holistic development developed by Dr. Ambika Kameshwar. And it's based on the work done by Rasa, Ramanas Nrutyalaya. They've been working with differently abled children and adults for over 35 years. And we are also involved on the Ramana Maharishi Center for Learning side. And Anand's been very involved in now I'm also in the RAISE program, which is Ramana Art Form Interventions for Self-Awareness and Excellence. So this is sort of a quick background. And what I want to do today is to, first of all, introduce our what I call the learning softer together model. So Shinjita, you know Anand's, folding. So I've shared some of the two-dimensional views on on Instagram, but I think I'll start with the three-dimensional view. So one of the things I think that's at the core of learning softer together is what I call the point of learning. So that point of learning, I was actually, I've been coming up with this idea of learning softer together for a while, how people interact, the kind of environments, but there's a whole list of variables, and I wasn't finding a simple and crisp way of explaining it. But then I realized maybe that point of learning concept, which Dr. Ambika Kameshwar uses, is a simple way of saying, if something is at your point of learning, it is softer, right? Because you're not pushing and getting people to do what they're not ready for. So I felt that maybe the easiest way to explain learning softer together is it's at your point of learning. And in terms of environment, that might mean, if sounds bother you or certain other things bother you, then that environment should be matched to you. Experiences should be matched to your, level of learning and all of that. So I think point of learning is a very critical thing, and it's sort of the base of the tetrahedron. So that's what supports everything. The other thing that Dr. Ambika Kameshwar is very fond of saying is life is theater and theater is life. So if I open up, and so this is the model which you kind of see, but which now we have a colorful version that Anand just did. So if you think it all starts with the first fold, and the way I see it, one half is the structured theater activities, which I call theater is life, and the other side, which is life is theater. So these two are the two sides. And I think when we do, I know, Shinjita, you followed Waldorf as well. And Waldorf also uses a lot of theater activities. They don't call it theater, but they do have storytelling, movement activities,
Storytelling,
dance,
yeah.
all of that is there. But I think one of the real contributions, I think, of this work is the way Dr. Ambika talks about life is theater and theater is life. So to me, that gives a good way of thinking about it. And I'm going to open up for some questions after this. So there are the two things, which is your structured theater activities on one side and how it flows through into your life. That is, life is theater on the other side. Now, for me, a particular interest is family fun and learning, because that may not be everybody's interest, but that's my specific interest. So these two sides come together into this, what I call family fun and learning. So I'll just share one more example, and then I'll open up the floor for some discussion. Now, the example I want to take is that of the fruit song. Gitanjali, I think you've probably also been part of that with the class. So
Yes, ma'am.
right, the fruit song. So one of the songs that Ujjwal does has been doing in the family immersion class has been the fruit song. And it's something that I introduced to my 3-year-old grandson and his nephew, which is the fruit song we introduced many months ago. And Ishan loved it. And you realize that that same one song you can actually use for months and months, because what happens is it's planting so many ideas, right? You're talking about fruits, and that song talks about the different fruits. It's A for apple, B for banana, and you use the gestures: A for apple, B for banana. So there is a lot of things. There's the vocabulary of fruits. there is also the alphabet, because you go A for apple, B for banana, you go all the way through to Z. And then there are the movements. And there is this thing about going to Ramna Tata's garden and, plucking the fruits and all these kind of other ideas as well. So there's a lot of, just one song in that movement set. There's a lot of concepts you can play with. So in terms of the children's curriculum, I think the children's movement activities, it's very powerful in terms of introducing concepts. So actually, we only have a 4 or 5 movement ones. The animal song, the favorite for many children. Then the fruit song. Then we have a tree song, and we have a few. So it is not like we have 100 songs. We only have a few. But those few, you can plant so many seeds, and Ishan and I still enjoy that song, but in different ways. So I'll do a phone call, and he'll be having some smoothie, and I'll say, okay, Ishan, so now what do you have in your smoothie? Do you have an apple? Do you have a banana? So when you talk like that, he already has that movement and concept vocabulary, right? So it is something we share. And lately, what's happened is the younger one, Sanjay, who's only just turned 1, he has become a fan of the animal song. So I was talking to him on the phone this week, and he's trying the cow, the pataka, he's trying it now. So I think a lot of the positive feedback for this work has come from my grandsons, because they love it. And we can, once the idea is there, you can improvise in so many ways, because we will, use the hand gestures. And then I used to walk Ishan to school, and we'll be singing, the silly fruit song. So we'll sing A for watermelon, B for, cherries, and he would have a lot of fun with that. So once the idea is there, it can just expand so much. And then we had a bee story where this girl is trying to reach the mangoes. So he'll keep going, I can't reach the mango, I can't reach the mango. So that you realize that the concepts are very powerful. But I also come back to this family piece, because I have a feeling we can do a lot more with these songs in a family setting, because it's in a classroom setting, you go once a week or something. But if you're in the family setting and you introduce something like this, you can keep expanding and improvising and then connecting. If I have a fruit song and a tree song, concepts from those two come together, and you can keep evolving it. So my question, to all of you, and we have a different, a representation from different groups. So Hashmita is a dance and theater student. Hashmita, you can speak.
Yes, and
Okay. Okay. If you can put the video on for a little bit, if you're okay with that.
yeah, just a minute. My net is low, so I'm trying to
Okay. Oh,
connect it.
okay. And Gitanjali is a parent who's been with Ujjwal's family immersion for quite a bit. And you've, of course, done Waldorf and many other things. So I have an opener, if you will, on if you have the two sides, which is the theater activities and you have the life, right? So if you have theater experiences, and theater experiences in Natya, they look at 5 tools, which is movement and dance, and you have uh, the music and rhythm, storytelling, arts and crafts, and drama. So these are the 5 tools. So if you think about these 5 tools and you have experiences with these theater tools, how do you think it impacts your life? So, Hashmita, since you are a theater artist for a long time, maybe I can have you start responding to this. Hashmita is a senior student of Ujjwal's, and she's a dancer, Bharatanatyam dancer, and theater artist. So she seems to be having some trouble getting her video on. Hashmita?
Auntie, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So if you can't get the video on, it's okay. You can just speak.
Yeah, okay. So according to me, like I have been working, I have been playing roles in dance drama productions with Shardaka produces. So what I feel is like sometimes in certain scenes I'm a dog, or in certain scenes I'm a cow, or in certain scenes I'm a man. So there is a different learning which I get. Similarly in life, in 1 hour I need to go to college, so I'll be different while going to college. In 1 hour I need to go to dance class, so I'll be different while going to dance class. So what I learned there mainly is time management, like shifting roles between a man and a girl or an animal. So time management I learned it there while playing in dance ballets, and also implying that time management what I learned in dance ballets I can use it in life. As without time management, suppose in 1 hour I need to go to dance class, and there is no time management which I had not learned from those dance ballets, then it would be difficult for me. So this is one of the most important thing which I learned from going to dance ballets, like the time management, I meant. So yeah.
Thanks, Ashmita, and also thanks for bringing up the role play, because that's really at the heart of life is theater. Because what Dr. Ambika says is basically from morning to evening, that's what we are doing. We are playing roles, and playing roles on stage also prepares us for playing roles in life. And there are a number of ways it does that. So, Gitanjali, you had any ideas on that?
I cannot say, ma'am. Actually, I was going to ask a question.
Okay. Shinjita, any thoughts? Okay. So
I am blank, honestly.
okay. So the thought, from our experiences, I'm thinking of it in, I kind of break it up in two categories. So there are things like body awareness, movement, language skills, values, and culture. These, I think, transfer from role play to, I mean, from playing roles on theater uh, to life. So an example I can say is, because sometimes, I think values, if you teach them, you must do this, you must do this, people don't like that. But theater can just sort of gently plant a seed. So one of the examples is when Anant was playing Rama in Jatayu Moksham. So there was this scene where Lakshman builds the a cottage for them in the forest, and and Rama thanks him and he's very happy about it. So that is something that somewhere it was registering in his mind. So all of a sudden one day he said, I think I should go and tell grandma thank you for doing the interior of her house in Bangalore, because we were in US and she was the one who did all of that work. So what I'm trying to say is that may not have been actually the quote unquote the moral of Jatayu Moksham, but you never know, in theater when something is going on, what will stick with you, we don't know. And that's where the point of learning comes in, because everyone's point of learning is different, right? And they may think there is a certain, value that they are trying to teach, right? But it may not be that one for you. You may be tuning into something else, right? Now, same with body awareness. A lot of times, when you're on stage, because Anant has been a Bharatanatyam dancer for a while. He had learned dance for more than 10 years before he came to theater. It's a whole different level. I mean, I especially remember the Panchavati scene from his very first Jatayu Moksham, because they were learning this song for a while and practiced it and all. Suddenly on the rehearsal day, I never knew this. The rehearsal day, suddenly there were a bunch of little children from the school that they introduced, and these children are running around. They are being the plants and all these things. Now, entirely different level of body awareness, right? You have to not only do your part, you have to keep track of where your other characters are. Now you also have to keep track of all these children running around on stage. So it's a very beautiful experience when you go from solo to theater. There's an entirely different level of body awareness, movement, yeah, and these help. So Anant is now doing a lot of storytelling and all, but that's because of the theater experiences. Because we take it for granted, right? But when we think of communication, it is not just speech. It is how you hold up your body, how you're sitting. Are you smiling? Shinjita, you might remember the smile brightly and dance, right? That's one of that's actually the first lesson Ujjwal does in dance. And that was not emphasized as much in the early stages when Anand started. But I think it's a good thing that the very first lesson that they have here is that, right? So there are many, many things that I think flow through from theater to life. So this is what I think, if people understood that there's so much learning that happens in any theater experience that can flow through into life. If you know that, then you're more aware of it and you tap into it. And this is what I think is something that I feel like Dr. Ambika talks about it, but then there are so many outcomes, so many pieces that we lose sight of it. And I hope that if we have a model like this, it keeps people constantly asking, if I'm doing a theater activity today, how will it affect my life? What might flow through into my life? And for us, actually, the flow through was very high with the children's curriculum, because of the children's curriculum, so because of the children's curriculum, we had a lot of things flowing into the experiences, right? Because we have a lot of fun with my grandsons because of this. So Anant and I, engage the two. So I would call, so this is another way of thinking about it. Learning that impacts all roles. So if you're learning communication, if you're learning body awareness, if you're learning movement, this cuts across all your roles. It helps you in any role that you play. Then you have things like, for Anand, the children's songs were very timely because it helped him with a specific role, which is uncle, right? So he had a much better time with his nephews because he had this curriculum in place. So that's something that I would encourage people to think of, because I think if people started thinking about, okay, we are doing some structured theater activities, and if you do those structured theater activities, what does it mean in terms of role play in life? If you realize that basically life is about playing a bunch of roles all day long, how does it help? And from there, we go to the next question. What kind of structured theater activities will help you play the roles better? So this is where, from mother to grandmother, this is my sort of transition, because we all use theater activities, right? When we have little children, we all use stories, we all use, wheels on the bus and movement activities like that. So that is not new. But I think what has really helped, Anant, is the very, very structured experience in Bharatanatyam, because that has really helped with movement. And maybe Hashmita can speak to this too, because Bharatanatyam is very, very precise in terms of training, different parts of the body awareness. And when people ask, okay, you say movement is good, but why not swimming, or why not karate? But I think it's because, one of the really unique things about Bharatanatyam is how it, brings the eye and hand movement together, the facial expression, the emotional expression. Those are not, taught, you can't learn emotional expression by swimming or karate, even though they have many benefits. Granted, they have lots of benefits, but Bharatanatyam is very unique. Indian Natya is very unique because of how it goes to all those motor skills. You have, you really address every part of the body, and you particularly tie in the emotional expression to movement. To me, that's a huge thing, because when I started the TAHD level 1 course, it was interesting. Ujjwal was the one who did the movement class for us. He did 2 classes. And the interesting thing was, movement and emotional expression was combined. So I thought that was very interesting, because the movement and emotional expression was combined into one session. But it makes a lot of sense. We don't think about it. We talk all about people need emotional regulation, this and that, but we forget that, when we come to expressing emotion, it really comes to smile. That involves muscles, right? You're frowning, that involves muscles. You're angry, that's everything involves movement, right? So I think, especially for those who have movement challenges, like many of our children do, I think that's why Bharatanatyam has been so powerful for Anand, because it's, it really lays those foundations. And then if you go into the other tools like drama and so on, everything brings something different to the table. So I think the question to ask yourself is, yes, theater activities are good, but what kind of theater activities? Like as Dr. Ambika Kamesh is fond of saying, she'll say, if you're happy and it is also a theater activity. But it's a question of what, again, it goes to the point of learning and what the particular individual needs. And if you go with something as systematic as Bharatanatyam, and I remember, when we first started Bharatanatyam, it was like Bharatanatyam, it's so much, because we always think of it in terms of performance, right? We don't think of it in terms of development. So if you flipped your understanding of Bharatanatyam from, hey, we are going to be this fantastic performer, to all the different things that Bharatanatyam can develop in you, then you have an entirely different perspective, because it can really bring in so much learning and so much development. So that's sort of the core of what I wanted to share today, because the key being to think in terms of theater is life and life is theater. Theater is life being structured activities that contribute to learning and development and role play, right? And I feel like any theater activity will result in some learning that automatically flows through into life, right? Whether you're learning body awareness or whether you're learning, but beyond that, which type of activity you learn or do is going to affect what exactly your learning is. So Anand's journey has been very interesting, because he's gone from, he came to Ujjwal after Bharatanatyam Arangetram, and he fell into the children's program by accident, because we were doing this little program for, you remember, you were there for that 100-day, the TAHD lab that we did with Rasa. So Ujjwal was creating a couple of videos for that 100-day experience. And we realized that it's better to have Anant in the videos or some student, because then people can see how the lesson is done. Because if it's only Ujjwal on the screen, you see the activity, but you don't see the interaction. So that is how Anand got into one of these. And when the first one, I think he did was a body part song. But very quickly he realized he could actually do it with his nephew. And that's why when you see the animal song video, you can see that he's very animated in that one, because I think by that time he had realized he could use it, right? So it so happened that because of my grandchildren now being 3 and 1, the children's curriculum was a perfect match for Anand at that time. So he kind of took a little detour from pure dance, and he did a lot of hastas, because that he's very interested in. And he also got into this children's program, and that has been a huge blessing, because uh, the children's song, we keep evolving it because of all the hastas, right? Because once you know the hand gestures are a critical part of how we communicate in Bharatanatyam, right? So if you know how to do fruit, or you know how to do tree and all of these things, I know quite a bit of the hastas now, because Anant was preparing for his diploma exam, and he does this fun with hastas. I'm the one who records everything. So I've myself learned. So we have a really fun time. So suddenly my older son will say, Amma, just come and do a few hastas for them, because they'll be troubling him in the morning. So he'll say, why don't you just come and do some hasta stories with them? So it's become sort of a family thing now. And, so I just wanted to encourage people to think of that. Where this whole thing will evolve, I don't know. Whether, one idea we had on the table was to, if the weekly sessions are not possible, maybe I'll try to see if Ujjwal can do one workshop each month. And now we are creating plenty of online resources. So the combination of workshop plus online resources might keep, support people in doing that. So, there are plenty of resources already on the channel, on Answer Ventures channel, because fortunately, as he was trying things with Ujjwal, we'd been recording and posting there. So luckily that compilation is still there. And, but I think the thing is, those are like finished things, right? Because he's shown a dance, right? But behind the scenes, what is happening? That we are using imitation. Imitation is making it easy to follow. It's reducing performance pressure, right? We are doing a lot of repetition. So those kind of things, there are a lot of things that Ujjwal is doing in class, which you won't just get it by just seeing the video. So Ujjwal and I had also actually recorded some conversation videos. We talked about a lot of the design issues. So I think there are going to be a few different types of videos. They're going to be the actual, the movement activities, all of that will be there. There will also be sort of this behind the scenes look as to the techniques you can use to make this work with your child, because that's important. Without knowing the technique, just seeing the finished product, may not be enough. And at the same time, I think that workshop, Gitanjali, you can probably speak to this. I think when you actually attend a class, because I've seen, he'll take only like maybe a line or two of the song and do it in one class. Next day, he'll repeat and just add one more line. So it's very, very incremental. So I feel like it's important for parents to experience that also. So hopefully, if we do some workshops, you can still get the feel of that process. So that's what we are thinking. Maybe if Hashmita and other students, eventually get interested and support this process, maybe more can be done. But that's why I'm trying to see if they can, there'll be some interest on their part. So any thoughts, questions based on?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I was thinking the same. Like till now, I have used TAHD to for development, like mind body connect, and to improve his auditory attention, a little expression, and bringing happy moments at home. But just I was about to ask you, how can we use TAHD to bring self-regulation, especially emotional regulation in the child? And you said that what kind of activity is going to address
Yes.
which goal or what kind of goal. So while you are providing resources like videos and all, it would be very helpful for a parent like me if you give that list also. And again,
Actually, I just want
like
to briefly mention about the self-regulation part. See, that is one reason why the RMCL curriculum has been a better fit for Anant, because a lot of our children, because they go through such, because they have sensory issues and so many other issues, regulation is a huge challenge. So why the RMCL particularly worked for him is because of all the Ramana side. So if you remember, he was doing Arunachala Shiva. So I still remember, that's why I keep coming back to this chant example. We went to Tirunamalai and we were in this meditation hall. And it was that small meditation hall upstairs, that old meditation hall. And in the main hall, they started the Tamil Parayana. And the moment Anand came out, he said, "This one stops the thoughts in my head." So it was a very powerful and dramatic moment. I mean, there was nothing else in the curriculum that immediately got into our lifestyle. So we just came back from Tirunamalai, and those chants have been in our daily rhythms from then. So I think one of the things for regulation, and so you don't realize this, but I think a regulation has a lot to do with the body. We talk emotional regulation, but I think it has a lot to do with the body, and I realize it has a lot to do with breathing. So we have gone for walks. Anand does all this. This kind of thing is very regulating. So many things. We have a whole bunch of things, but despite that, there was something missing. And I think the chants provided an important thing, because I think if you he still is not very much into songs, because I think chants have that rhythmic quality to them. So for a whole year, he was much more into listening to the chants. So I think that is part of it. That is why we have those 6 S's, smile brightly and dance. Now, smile itself is regulating, right? Because if I remember when we first started with Ujjwal, I would come back. I am no dancer, but Anant and I would do adavas together, just the basic adavas. And in the RMCL version, you have the smile is your very first thing. Think about it. If you smile, it does release the tension in your system. And so Anant did this Krishna Dutam. I think he performed the role of Krishna in about 2 months after we started Ujjwal, and we had been practicing these adavas and the smile for those 2 months, and you could see the difference. I mean, when he performed Krishna and then he performed Swami Vivekananda after that. In both of them, there was that smile and all that thing. There was some impact right there within a few months. So we had the 6 S's, the smile brightly and dance, the soothing chants, silence. Silence is a huge one. And, of course, Ramana talks about inner silence, but even external silence, just being quiet for a while, I think helps with that. So there are, those 6 things, I think those are particularly help with self-regulation. So, I'll definitely be talking about that as well. But I think it's a good point. I think we confuse emotional regulation. It's something, but the emotions, people are talking more and more about how everything is in the body, right? You don't have emotions disconnected from the body, and it goes to the interoception, that is your inner body signals, right? So when you do all these theater activities, your body awareness and interoception, everything shifts. And when you combine it, and that is why I'm a very much of a believer in the RMCL version, because for us it has given the combination of Natya with the Ramana inputs, the silence and and the surrender and all these things. And these are good even for parents. I mean, especially for parents of neurodivergent children, surrender is very helpful because we really don't have much. You realize you don't have much control. You just have to take it as it comes and just go with it. So all of these 6 things are equally helpful for the parent and for the child. And the co-regulation, because I think one of the biggest things for emotional regulation is co-regulation. Nobody learns self-regulation first. So what I realized from Ujjwal's class, and I tell him also, I think that you're an expert in co-regulation, because when you have that Natya, you'll just come to class and you'll just start doing, no instructions, just keep doing, right? So it's like 1 full hour of co-regulation. So whether you're asking for it or not, you just get 1 hour of co-regulation. And I realized that he was actually doing it very well even in the online class. When he started the online class, I was like, okay, Anand gets a great experience because it's in person. Can this be done online? But I thought he was, able to do it quite well, at least doing it enough with the parents, so then they could go and do it with their children slowly. So that is the thing. I think you have to, the workshops can help and watching the videos can help. And that's why having students in the videos help, because that's how you can see how that co-regulation is happening. Because if you just have the instructor there, you don't see how that co-regulation process is happening in every experience. So I think that is the key. And people have picked up, right from the beginning, from the animal song and everything, people have picked up on that, how you can't really talk about it. If you see it, you get it as to how that is unfolding. And Hashmita, I've seen, he does pretty much the same style, even in the Bharatanatyam classes as he does in this. So if you use an imitation-based approach, because typically a lot of the senior Bharatanatyam teachers will not stand and do with you like that. They will be doing the rhythm and they'll give you oral instructions. But for Anand, it has been very, very helpful because of the amount of imitation that goes on there. And I think I've seen the summer camp, I think everywhere the same thing is happening. So those are some things to consider. So I think if people were to take some of the videos that we have and follow this, I call it the imitate, repeat, memorize, improvise. That's the formula. You'll get that co-regulation. So I think co-regulation is very, very key to emotional regulation. So that's what plants the seeds. So I don't know, Gitanjali, hopefully we addressed a few of the questions you had. And of course,
Yes, ma'am.